The biases and the stigma of the allegations against your client make every ruling a little bit harder. I feel like prosecutors and judges do not want to be seen to be lenient when there's a sex offense at play, and that can affect even small pretrial rulings. A lot of those cases also have either or both of forensic evidence, and that could be either in the form of things concerning injuries and such, or alleged injuries, but it could also be digital evidence about, a lot of times the relationship between two people is laid out somewhere on social media, things like that. So there's a lot of components to that. And just another thing that's flat out hard about them, that's also hard about other serious cases, is the penalties. Extremely high, which always adds tension to your client's life and the representation and the difficult decisions to make. Another thing is the sex offender registry. So for example, you could have someone who has a very good case. They might be innocent. It might be that what's being said about them is completely overstated, but they're petrified to go to the penitentiary and they get offered a very good deal, right? However, maybe you don't go to jail. Maybe if you do, it's for a short time and you can move on with your life. But the sex offender registry for life is a punishment that never goes away. And, we present this information to courts a lot of times about how oppressive the sex registry really is. Basically, it's like civil death. I mean, if you're not independently wealthy, you're never going to have a job with good earnings again unless you start your own business. It's hard to find places to live. It's very hard to find anywhere to rent. And obviously you're on the internet, the stigma of it. Anyone that ever meets you is going to know about it. It's going to be the first thing that pops up. So that's sitting there. So even in a good result in a case, your client may end up with that. People fight. People will go to trial on cases to avoid that punishment because it's so terrible, when otherwise maybe the case would resolve. And I have no problem saying that because the sex offender registration is mandatory for any of certain kinds of cases, the judge cannot change it, ever. There are many, many people on it that just don't need to be, that aren't dangerous, that even the prosecutor and judge might say, I'm not saying they need to be on it. It's not my fault. That's what the law says. And so that's one thing when people come in, that's what they hear about, and it's one of the biggest challenges because you can't get around it unless you beat the case or get it reduced to something else.